Good morning, everyone. A happy Wednesday to you all. It is a glorious day outside where I am. I hope it's beautiful and sunny where you are as well. We have got our final story today from A Twist of Tales by Julia Donaldson. Our story for this morning is called The Clever Girl. Look at those beautiful pictures. I wonder what our story is going to be about today. The Tsar of Russia was out in his coach when he saw a farmer eating some bread. "I'm hungry," the Tsar said. "Stop the coach." He got out and asked the farmer for some bread. The farmer bowed low and gave him some. "This is the best bread I have ever tasted," said the Tsar. "Who made it?" "My daughter Katya, Your Majesty," the farmer replied. "Tell me about Katya," said the Tsar. "Oh, she's a wonderful girl," the farmer said. "So pretty, so good, so strong, such a good worker, such a good singer." "And such a good baker," the Tsar said, with his mouth full of bread. "Is she clever too?" "Oh, yes," the farmer boasted. "She's the cleverest person in Russia." "What? Cleverer than me?" asked the Tsar. "Oh, no, Your Majesty. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that," the farmer began. But the Tsar had jumped back into his coach. "I'll be back," he called out. The next day, the Tsar came back. He gave the farmer a basket of eggs. "If your Katya is so clever, see if she can hatch these eggs into chickens," he said. "I'll be back tomorrow." The farmer took the eggs to Katya. "But these eggs are hard-boiled," she said. "They won't ever hatch out." "Oh no," said the farmer. "What shall we do?" "Don't worry, I know what to do," Katya said with a smile. The next day, the Tsar was on his way back to the farmer's house when he saw a girl throwing some beans onto the ground. She was singing a song. "Grow, beans, grow," she sang. The Tsar stopped the coach. "What is your name?" he asked the girl. "Katya," she replied. "So you're clever Katya," the Tsar said. "What are you doing?" "I'm sowing boiled beans, Your Majesty," Katya said, and she went on with her song. The Tsar laughed. "How can boiled beans grow, you silly girl?" he asked. "They can grow just as fast as hard-boiled eggs can hatch out," Katya replied. The Tsar laughed again. "That's a clever reply," he said. "I thought I could trick you, but you were too clever for me. All right, you win this time, but let's see if you can do something else." "What's that?" asked Katya. The Tsar gave a handful of wool. "I want you to make curtains for the palace out of this," he said. Katya took the wool home and told her father what she had done. "Oh no," said the farmer. "How can you make curtains with so little wool? It's impossible." "Don't worry, father," Katya replied. "I'll think of something." The next day, the Tsar came back to the house. He was beginning to like Katya. "Well," he asked, "have you made the curtains?" Katya smiled and gave him a little twig. "What's this for?" the Tsar asked. "Well, Your Majesty, it's like this," Katya said. "We're very poor. too poor to buy a spinning wheel. But if you can make a spinning wheel out of this twig, then I can spin the wool and make your curtains." The Tsar laughed. He knew he couldn't make a spinning wheel out of a little twig. "You win again," he said. Katya laughed too. She was beginning to like the Tsar. "There's one more thing I want you to do," the Tsar said, and he gave Katya a cup. "I want you to fill this cup with all the water from the sea," he said. Katya told her father what she had to do. "But that's impossible," he said. "Don't worry," Katya replied. "I'll think of something." The next day, the Tsar was back. Katya came to the door with the cup. "It's empty," the Tsar said. "You're not so clever after all. You can't do what I asked." "Yes, I can," Katya replied. "I can fill the cup with all the water from the sea. But there's one problem." "What's that?" asked the Tsar. "Well," Katya said, "if I do that, then all the rivers will flow into the sea and fill it up again. But if you dam up all the rivers first, then I can fill the cup with the water from the sea." The Tsar laughed louder than ever. He knew he couldn't dam up all the rivers. "You are a very clever girl," he said. "Will you marry me?" "I will if you promise me one thing," said Katya. "What's that?" the Tsar asked. "Promise me that if you ever get fed up with me and send me back home, you will let me take one thing with me." "What thing?" the Tsar asked. "The thing I love best in the palace," Katya replied. "I promise," said the Tsar. So Katya married the Tsar, and for a year they lived happily. But one night the Tsar was in a bad mood and he quarrelled with Katya. "You think you're so clever," he said. "Well, you can go back and be clever in your father's house." He called his servants and told them to get a cart ready to take Katya home. All Katya said was, "You look tired. Have a cushion for your head." The cushion was very soft. The Tsar closed his eyes and Katya began to sing softly. Before long, the Tsar fell asleep in his chair. When the servants came back, Katya gave them a big chest and told them to put it on the cart. "My clothes are in there," she said. "Your clothes are very heavy," said the servants. But they heaved the chest onto the cart. The servants took Katya home. "It's good to see you, Katya," her father said, but he looked worried. "Why are you back? Did you quarrel with the Tsar?" "Yes," Katya said. "But don't worry, I won't be back for long." They heaved the big chest off the cart and took it into the house. "It's very heavy," Katya's father said. "What's in it?" "Open the lid and see," said Katya. The farmer opened the lid of the chest. There inside lay the Tsar, fast asleep. "What have you done?" the farmer asked. He looked afraid. Just then the Tsar woke up and saw Katya. "I thought I told you to go back to your father's house," he said. "I did," Katya replied. The Tsar sat up and looked around. He saw Katya's father. "You wicked girl," he said to Katya. "How dare you kidnap the Tsar of Russia?" "Don't you remember your promise?" Katya asked. What promise? Asked the Tsar. You promised that if you ever got fed up and sent me home, I could keep the thing I loved best in the palace. Well, it's you. The Tsar laughed. He jumped out of the chest and hugged Katya. You were right, he said to the farmer. Your daughter is the cleverest person in Russia, and I'll never send her away again. And that is the end of that story. Well, I hope you enjoyed that one. I really enjoyed those short stories in that book. As always, if you have a suggestion for something you would like to hear read, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, have a lovely rest of the day and tune in tomorrow. Bye for now.